know how valuable it is to be present and to be in this moment. But while we're in this moment, I thought we could use the next hour together to reach a little further, to go long. And something I shared with Maya the other day is what I've been working on lately is on crystallizing a 10-year plan. And this 10-year plan being my way of thinking about who am I becoming in 10 years from now, and how am I representing that in this moment? And the first question I had for you is, when you think about your 10-year plan, how does that feel? Does that feel confusing, scary, strange? What's the first thing that comes up for you? Do you wonder how old you're going to be? I'm going to be 50 in 10 years from now. For some of you, that may sound young. For some of you, that may sound old. For some of you, that may not mean anything because it's just a number.
Just a number.
Mm-hmm. But is that really true, or is that something we say as a cop-out?
No, I think it's something that society has us, that you're supposed to be a certain way at a certain age. And in the wellness industry, in the movement, it has shown us that just because you are a biological age from your calendar birth date does not say the state of wellness that your body is in. So to me, age is literally just a number.
Mm. Is that true for everybody else?
Well, I would agree with Maya, but even though we can feel like that, we have to deal with the load of society on that, the heavy, the weight of society on that, and that's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
That's very painful.
Yeah, I hear that, and we can explore that a little bit. I thought I would give some space and room for Kristen and Sarah if they wanted to share something.
I can say something. For me, it's a scary thought, 10 years from now. But I agree with Maya that I feel physically very strong and like very capable. It doesn't feel like my current age at all. But 10 years from now definitely seems a bit scary, and like looking, like thinking of making a 10-year plan it's a very odd thing for me at my age now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Sarah?
For me, when we talk about age, usually it seems to be something linear, like the number increases like 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's always +1. And for me, this since I'm born, it feels more like, I was thinking more like a circle, a bubble, and I can expand into different directions. A bit like the sagittal plane, the frontal plane, and the transversal plane that the body has. I felt like maybe like when you get born and when you're in the body of the woman, then you start to expand yourself in these different directions, and then you change the position. I felt I'm 30. I'm going to get 32 soon, and I felt extremely old. And not in a mental way, more in different patterns in the past 10 years, in a way that it was confusing to me because it did not match the way I look. Because when I look at me, I feel like, oh, she looks young, but it was not matching the way I was feeling in my body. And I don't mean because I was exhausted, something different. So yeah, there is a different, it's more like an expansion than an expansion and a retraction, what I feel, what happens. So it helps me to think about a 10-year plan where I'm now, but I can imagine Kristen's feeling. because I feel that then I have a direction and not just an expansion that is happening because it's happening. And I like to direct things in my life. I like directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think that's actually a great balance, I think, here in this group, because some of you expressed it linearly, and Sarah, you expressed it more circularly or spherically when thinking about age. And I thought we could explore some of these ideas of age or longevity, or seeing our life as a continuum, but being able to explore the edges a little bit more. And this 10-year idea is long enough that it's hard to reach for, but it's close enough that it's one tiny bit of a lifetime, really, depending on how things go. But most of us here have at least seen 3, 4, 5 of these decades in our lives. And I thought we could explore this. So let's start with society. Something I've been hearing since I became a grandpa, and I said that I was a grandpa. Immediately, people are like, "Whoa, you are a grandpa? How old are you? You look so young." Well, does it matter how old I am? Well, yes, it does, because biologically, in this time that we live in, 2021, becoming a grandpa at 39 doesn't really compute. Biologically, it usually takes a little longer. But if we went back to the Paleolithic time, maybe becoming a grandpa at 39 was normal. In fact, being a grandpa or being 39 was practically impossible. That was being somebody who lived a very long life. So yeah, society does influence our concept or notion of age. In what way have you experienced that? I'm curious. Is it in that which you have accomplished, in how you have organized or structured your life, whether you have a family or you don't have a family, you bought a house, you didn't buy a house, you have savings, you have a retirement? How has society defined your age? I'm curious.
Truthfully, I've never let society define my age. In my perspective.
Crickets?
Yeah, guess what? Okay, everybody's going to be in a picture. Carl knows about this.
Oh, yeah.
1313. Every day this year at 1313, I take a picture. So I have captured the whole year. Now everybody was just in the picture. And 13 is my lucky number.
Okay, this is wonderful, actually, that happened right there. You said, I have never allowed society to define my age.
Right.
Okay. And immediately you got the alarm saying it's time to take a picture.
Because to me, that's not about age. That's capturing just 365 days.
Which is awesome. I just want to play with this because this is key. Capturing 365 days is capturing time.
Yeah.
Age is time.
We make age a construct from time.
Well, everything is a construct, because everything that we're doing here is assigning meaning. And what I'm challenging here is that what we are dealing with when we're thinking about aging, we're thinking about time and biology. Those are the 2 basic ones. But then add on to that which society considers a progression of time, a participation in our society is different. That adds something. So when we separate societies, our culture's definition of our age, let's say I'm 40, and the standards that I should be meeting at 40, am I, and I think the answer will be relatively obvious for most of you, but we can explore it. Am I comfortable with my time age and my biological age? Is that the same?
What do you mean, your biological age, and if you're comfortable with it? I don't understand.
Yeah, so before, when we lived in caves, we didn't last as long as we do now.
Right.
Now, thanks to science, modern medicine, the infrastructure system that we have access to power, clean water. A great majority of the population has these basic needs met. And thus we're able to last longer. Meaning that biologically, we have become younger relative to time. One of the things that is being researched and is still being discussed is, for example, in our DNA, in our chromosomes, inside of our cells, there are these little telomeres, they're called. You're familiar with them, right? Maybe Madalena, yeah, Kristen.
Yeah, I know. They get, yes, they apparently they get shorter as you get older.
Right. So it's kind of an
That's what
indicator
we-
of your biological age,
Yeah.
which is different than your time age. My question to you is, your biological age, the way that you are biologically right now, does it match your timeline's age? Because your timeline's age is based on your experience of how time has gone by, whether it's geographically. The sun comes out and sets every day, and that's a day. And that day is marked on the calendar. And now we're approaching the end of this year. Another year will be gone. Time is passing. You're experiencing time. Does your biological age align with your time age? Does it feel coherent, or does it feel off? And if so, why does it feel off?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm just getting ahead of anyone, but I just want to say that regarding that I would say that is off, but not in a linear way, because although I tend to agree, I agreed with Maya, because now I have that vision that in fact age is just a number, but I also relate to what Sarah said, because there was definitely a time more than 10 years ago that I felt much older than I feel today. So.
Yeah. And it's kind of what Sarah was also alluding to, that she felt older inside than what she maybe looked or presented as.
Yeah, I'm talking about the feeling, not the look, but the feeling that you have.
Okay, so now this is the beauty. Now we're starting to get there. So we have time, the perception of time. We have our biology, the way that our biology expresses itself. And then we have our perception, our relationship to it, our sense. I can remember being a kid and feeling exactly the same I feel right now. Meaning that my being, the essence of me, which is something that we can explore a little bit, and maybe that would help. Kristen, you were asking a little bit about this concept of essence. The essence of me remains the same. It hasn't aged a bit.
I totally agree with that.
Okay, great. So if we can lean into that which is not bound by time, which is the witness of that which is occurring. Do we feel the same as we felt a minute ago, or are we now feeling a little bit different? Is the 10-year plan, for example, for Kristen, is it less or more scary? Is your clarity in terms of your relationship with your biological age and your time age, is it more clear now? Does it feel more connected, or does it feel more separate? Furthermore, does that allow you to be more defined by society's rules or less defined? What's coming up for you?
Can I say something?
Please.
Okay. I feel there's a separation, that the time is age is not like, it's not really matching my biological age, and it's weird, because I think in terms of what's like the idea that I have of society and where you should be at a certain age, I'm nowhere there. I feel like I live like a 20-year-old, 25-year-old.
Uh-huh.
And I think that at my age, I look at people and they have, like they have cars and boats and cabins and kids and their own houses, apartments. And I'm just so separate from that. So yeah, so in that way, it feels like it's very different.
Now we're starting to talk. This is great.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that, Kristen.
Keep going.
Okay. I know, and there was just like one more thing, and I think that this is a little bit of a separate thing, but I think maybe I bring it up because I think it has, there's an issue with it for me. When I was training with you at Acrosports, and I can't remember the context of what we were talking about, but I said something about that I can't do this, or they will never work, or like something along those lines. And then you said to me, you are making this an age thing. So, but I can't remember exactly what the context with, and but I think that just remembering that, it's like I have this idea that it's a bit bizarre, because I think that I make age like my current age into a problem sometimes, but at the same time I feel so separated from it because of my physical fitness level and things like that.
Yep.
So sorry,
no, that's amazing. Well, my 25-year-old self that was telling you that then, that's 15 years ago almost, was either very wise or a complete idiot. Who knows?
Well, I think it was wise at the time.
For sure. I think so too. And it's because the perspective was, why would you limit yourself? Because you're doing something that, according to your age then, 15 years ago, was not the norm. In fact, society, so let's just regress for a second and go for a little explanation here to add some color. Kristen, how old were you then? Were you in 2005, 2006? Were you in your 40s?
Yeah.
Yeah. In your 40s, one doesn't usually start doing gymnastics, tumbling, and trampoline.
Right.
It's not a common thing. In fact, in the US, most places that have gymnastics don't allow adults to come in because it's a liability. It's dangerous. But holy shit, You were doing back flips on the trampoline, front flips on the trampoline. You were practicing front flip with a half twist on the trampoline. We were doing front handsprings on the fast track. We were doing round off back handspring. We were practicing presses to handstand on the floor. Insane. And your background was in some fitness and some dance, which most would say, well, yeah, it's a foundation, but that's safer, whatever that means, than the acrobatics, the thing that is high impact, that can break your leg if you land, or your neck.
Mm.
So yeah, you were putting a limit on your progress, but that limit was coming from a comparison to the standard that the majority are holding. And it's interesting that amongst the 5 of us here, I don't think a single one of us necessarily have followed a linear trajectory or have pursued that which is the norm, that which is, if we had a bell curve, the middle. We're either on one end or the other end. And the other thing I am just observing here is that you are all women. Do you think that has anything to do with your experience?
I think if anything, in our case, it makes us all more outliers because we're so non-traditional in the whole, you know, as you're getting older, you're moving less as a woman. I mean, I know at 60, I feel like I'm just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 years to me is, thinking about the next 10 years is like, let's do it. That's like a drop in the hat because I plan to be at least 120.
Mm-hmm. Love it. What is it like to be a woman?
How long you got there, Carl? You'll have 4 very different perspectives.
I would love to hear them. What has it been like being a woman for you?
I'll go first. For me, it's always been very challenging because I have always been in fields that are very male dominated. I mean, I was the second female Coast Guard rescue swimmer to ever jump out of a plane and rescue people.
Wow.
And in the entire 18 years that I was in the Coast Guard, there was maybe 1 or 2 other females at the stations, but that was it. And so I've always been the outlier every place I've been, even growing up with traveling all over the world.
Mm. Interesting that part of your story of being a woman is that you had the opportunity of being the first at the forefront. That's pretty cool. As a man that likes to win, I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. You're a winner.
Yeah, I mean, it came with having to work twice as hard as all the guys.
Oh, that's a little different.
Okay, the other 3. Let's hear your perspectives.
If I were a woman, I would tell you how it feels. But I'm not. I'm here to listen now, so I'm ready.
Kristen, you want to go?
I'm thinking about it. I don't know.
Okay, otherwise I go, or I try to go.
There's no trying, you are a woman.
but like, so I'm a bit against all this, not because I'm not just gonna say it. I'm a bit against all these gender topics, just because I think that it shows that we are living in a society that has a lot of luxury, so that we can start creating new things to talk about to this extreme that it's happening. It's a bit too much for me personally. The way, because for me it's clear, I grew up in a way that for me it's clear that we are all human. So I think it's a bit weird for me to be discussing this globally. It's a bit strange. For me, I started to see colors in people's skin when I was 22, because before that, for me, everyone was equal. And I know this is, you can also say that it's very racist to say that, but I grew up in a family where it's not how people talk about things at the moment. So these two things are very confusing to me, equally to am I a woman or what makes me a woman. Nevertheless, so I say this in advance, but I've always felt more male all my life. So since I'm a kid, and it's not because I feel like I'm a transgender person, but I've always been more surrounded by men when I looked for friendships than by women, because I feel that being a woman takes a lot of responsibility and a lot of, maybe by nature, we are blessed with specific gifts that challenge us a lot by being very sensitive, wanting to care a lot of other people. We have, unfortunately, women are very, in my opinion, very attractive, and therefore they have this, that's a big problem, because we can, as women, you can use your attraction to even make it blurry for yourself, and then you can become extremely problematic for yourself, for other women, and for men, and start to take decisions that are quite strange to me. So I've always felt a bit off women connection, which made me, or still makes me, very sad, because I think that women have a power to connect themselves with each other and communicate and look for connection in a way that for me is mind-blowing. But sad as it is, I've experienced a lot of hate and jealousy a lot in between women of every age, no matter if they are young or older. Younger women against older women against younger women against women because of men, and it's just so complicated. On the other side, I feel more and more extremely blessed by starting to understand my virtues. I'm extremely sensitive, and I can sense things that I feel because of my sex and my female side. I have visions to a point that I feel that they are like that because of my feminine side, and I'm starting to understand that. And it's not working anymore against me. Usually, let's say when I get into a room and I look into people's eyes, I can see things about them that they don't even know about themselves. And then I get pictures in my head without understanding why I can see inside of their heads. And then I usually got very scared about my sensitivity. And before I came here, I was talking to a friend for 2 hours that basically told me a story about her relationship that I could see 4 months ago. And I felt, wow. And I was so scared of that vision. I was like, why is this even happening in my head? But I felt before coming, I was like, wow, being a woman is extremely special, because you can heal relationships in between women in a way, and even support men to get more connected to themselves if you're in tune with yourself. So I respect the challenge. I love my male side, and I like to have it simple. But the complexity of it is extremely interesting. This I tell you as an alien. Yeah, I'm trying to explain. Yes.
You're definitely an alien. And it's wonderful. I'm just going to share this. So the first time I met Sarah, attended a workshop of mine. I think Phil recommended it. And I can't even remember what the workshop was. But at the end of the workshop, one of the things that I try to do is I try to message every single participant to thank them for being there. So I messaged Sarah and I said, hey, Sarah, thank you so much for participating today. It was great having you there, and it was great having you share. You shared a few things. And Sarah, instead of responding with a text, she decided to link a YouTube video with some music and some art. And she said, this is how I feel. And I was like, I don't think I've ever had anybody answer this way. But this answer was the most clear, compelling response that I had ever received after connecting with somebody who had attended one of my workshops or seminars. And I was like, wow, this is a wonderful way of communicating. And fast forward to today, just watching you do what you're doing on Instagram, which, by the way, I think you should do on TikTok too. But watching you do what you do is at the core of, from a male perspective, just from the perspective of seeing patterns and being the hammer that just finds the nails and tries to hammer all the nails in, is it's at the core of creativity, and creativity being the superpower of the female energy. And this creative being is the one that holds the matrix. And the matrix is the net. The net that has the nodes, the connections, and all the little strings, all the little connections that hold those nodes. And when looking at that net, realizing that there are a great number of patterns that you can follow. And one of your superpowers, now just reflecting back to you, Sarah, is that in addition to holding the net, you are creating the net, and then your earthbound skill set is that you also have the ability to find the pattern and follow the pattern. And that is a more masculine expression. When one becomes aware of those two sides, the matrix, the net versus the pattern, the line that you can follow, it's kind of like a big crash. It's a clash of ideas, feelings, opportunities that I don't think any human is necessarily capable of handling. It's a lot. Thus, one, and now it's not just you, Sarah, it's all of us. Thus, we need to choose. And that choice happens in this moment, but gets expressed, ripples across time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing that sets us free is realizing that whatever we choose right now, although it ripples, in the next moment I can choose again, meaning I can adjust. But this is something that I see in you, that you are, you carry the essence of the female energy because you're able to see this matrix and thus intuitively see what's coming ahead in time. whether it's through just observation or presence. And there you see a pattern.
Mhm.
But expressing that pattern, sometimes society, culture, your own experiences has told you that you're not supposed to do that, or that there's something bad or something that is not for you to do. Thus, you feel like, oh, I should step away. Does that resonate with you, or am I completely off?
It resonates with me.
Okay, cool. Because I see you, and that's all I got to say. But I think it's wonderful that you are the way you are and you do what you do. And I just encourage you to keep doing that. If I could move on to Kristen. Kristen, what's coming up for you as we're discussing these things? What are you thinking? You heard Maya share her experience. Now you've heard Sarah. Yeah, where are you at when thinking about being a woman or having the female energy maybe associated to you because of how you present? Yeah, what's coming up for you when you think about this?
If a few things. I don't know if I'm able to express all of it, but I remember a few years ago I went to see a coach in San Francisco, and she asked me a question. She said, like, where's the female part of you? And I said, oh, I don't know, she's back there somewhere. That's what I remember answering. And I think that is, I feel in many ways that I operate a bit like a man, and I don't think I'm a very nurturing person or particularly compassionate, which I really see as a female characteristics. So in many ways I'm I don't know how to express it really.
You're doing a great job. Just keep going.
I think I just feel in general that I sort of like I am not very like womanly in the way I present. Maybe like when I compare myself to other women. Yeah, I just feel like it's I'm sort of a bit tough and maybe a bit insensitive, and I don't know, it's really difficult to explain. But I don't really see myself as I don't see myself as very like feminine in a way, but that's kind of wrong too. I'm sorry, I'm really struggling with like trying to explain.
This is amazing. This is amazing. And this is the thing that for some reason men definitely don't feel comfortable having these conversations, but for some reason we need more of this. It's being uncertain in the exploration of this. And one of the reasons this is important is because when I started the conversation here 43 minutes ago, I was alluding to sending you 10 years into the future, into this like 10-year plan. And immediately you're like, ooh, that's kind of challenging because we live now. And also we have this female energy, which is the one of creativity, of expanding like this, not like this. Women don't plow through. Women expand. They create space. it produces a ton of dissonance. But in this world that we live, it's required for us to articulate that which is abstract, creative, in ways that allows others, including ourselves, to connect with it. It's kind of like our communication, our expression is like a puzzle piece that has to meet another puzzle piece. So the struggle that you're having is you're struggling to carve out the line that's going to connect with the next line. That is fine. And it's amazing that you're even trying. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's very powerful. Just keep doing it. Did anything else come up for you, Kristen?
No, not really. But maybe that's why I just find it difficult sometimes to just be a woman, because I feel like I don't quite fit into that typical role. And maybe especially in relationship to like romantic relationships to men, because because I have this idea, oh, they look for somebody really feminine, and I just don't I feel like I don't fit with that. So yeah. I don't know what else to say about that.
Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, may I say something from the perspective of a woman, whatever that means? Because I think, like, if I would really like to have female friends that are more like you described yourself, because at my age, there are a lot of women that think that at my age they have to start nurturing and giving birth and being all of what you say you're missing. And I feel that a lot of women do that. For me, it's the first time that I get into the 30s. So it's the first time that I see women being a lot like that. I can't look back. I'm just being in it because that's how things are right now, apparently. And I like that a lot, as long as the people feel it. But I feel like there are a lot of people that also feel this urge to be like that, because that's what a woman is supposed to be like. And for me, when Carl said, let's talk about the 10 years thing, I was like, oh yes, finally, my energy feels like this. Yes, let's do it. And but my brain is not capable to do that. So if I had more women around me being like you, in my opinion, that's extremely nurturing, because finally I would learn from women how to nurture myself by doing plans that make sense, instead of always being connected to this bubble that I'm talking about, that is just creative, but it's not getting me anywhere. So I need, and for some reason, yes, I'm moving on because somehow it works, but it's not working the way I need it to. And I know a lot of men that also have a lot of feminine sides, starting with Phil, and I don't mean it in any negative way, but he is extremely feminine in many, many ways. And there I say, hey, can you please just, like, I'm the man in this relationship. And it for me, it's very, very hard, because I look very female. When I look at myself, I'm like, okay, she kind of looks female, but I don't feel like it. Doesn't mean that my brain doesn't work like it. So, there's like so many areas of ourselves that it's so sad if you start to compare yourself with that, because who the fuck says just because you're not doing this and being like that doesn't mean that you're not nurturing, caring. Maybe you care more in a financial and programming way. Maybe you care more in a way that you can set boundaries. You know how much it's taking me to set boundaries? But you can do it by nature. So how sexy is that? And I'm sorry for all the men that are missing that, but that's up to them, because they are living in an illusion of how the boobs and the feel everything has to look, or the internal look of it, But it's up to them. It's not your problem. You're perfect. And I miss women like that can still connect instead of being like, I'm the only one, you know. There are so many women that just go their own way and then they hate others, and you don't seem to be one of them, you know. So I miss that. I think that's extremely female, just to
Thank
be a
you,
bit more
Sarah.
realistic. Yeah.
Thank you. That was very well said. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Magdalena, you're muted, but if you want to mute yourself and share your perspective, you have the mic.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There was some noise here, then I forgot that I was unmuted. Well, it was very nice to hear Christine and then Sarah about all this, because, and also what you said before about creativity, because one of the things that in that sense I don't feel feminine at all is I don't think I'm a creative person. And in my family, I was thinking about to make a sort of a statistic, if you can say like that. I have two brothers, and I am the only, we are three. And in this group of three people, my two brothers are much more creative than I am. So, well, that gives me a different perspective of what you were saying about women being the creative part. On the other hand, I also relate a lot with what Christine says. I don't really I never felt that feminine, that need to look feminine and be in a certain way, like what can I say? It's so difficult to explain, but what the image society tries to impose on us. I never adhered to that. Also, I think what I can say is the most feminine thing I think I did, or I'm still doing in my life, is being a mother, and that is amazing. And I really now, well, going a bit, how can I say, before having my first child, I can say that even in that sense, I was not really the person that went to people's houses and was, the babies are so good. No, sometimes I felt I must be really insensitive, because I really don't feel any attachment because it's a baby. It's not my baby yet. It's a person, okay? I respect it as a person, like if it's a baby or a child or an older child or an adult. For me, there was really not a very big difference. Of course, with my children, yeah, that's completely different. But that's because there is a completely different bond between us. It still exists, and now one is 17 and the other is 15, and I still feel that as when they were born, or when I started feeling them inside me, which is, well, like I said, maybe the most extraordinary experience of being a woman is that for me. It's like you feel life inside you that is not yours, that you have to care for, that you have to, that you are responsible for during 9 months. And after that too, because a baby, a newborn is not an autonomous human being. And of course, nowadays, if we're in the Paleolithic, like you were saying, a newborn really needed a mother to survive. Nowadays, that is not even necessary. You can survive. There is technology enough to survive without having the mother near you. But, well, I don't know.
I just want to inject there that although there is technology to help the baby survive, the trauma caused on the baby is so severe that it affects it's a lifetime of effect.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, but
I hear what you're saying exactly, but I just thought I would share that because that's one of the sides of the nurture that a mother and for the most part only a mother can do, first and foremost biologically. That cannot be taken away. Yes. But even though one doesn't have biological kids, can be experienced elsewhere. And that's a completely different conversation. But I love what you're saying. And it just adds another puzzle piece to what Kristen, Sarah, and Maya were sharing. So go ahead. Sorry for interrupting, but I just think it's so important.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think I was finishing anyway. Just adding to what you when I mean the technology, I was maybe not expressing myself very well. I mean that side, that nurturing side that you were speaking about can be like can be done by other human beings. You know, if
100%.
the mother for some reason isn't present, it doesn't mean that the baby cannot survive. It can survive in a good way, even if the mother is not there.
100%. And that person can be a
1,000 years ago,
male.
Yeah, for example, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that, and I experienced that a bit in my experience, is that usually the father, at least in my family's experiences, that feels sometimes a bit put aside, and on the other hand, experiences a certain jealousy because taking care of a baby is so so hard.
It's fucking
Don't-
hard.
You have no energy to
Granddad.
you have no energy for everyone, and you have to focus on the one that is less more fragile, more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Then you have to find a balance between all those things, of course, but yeah.
Thank you for that, Madalena. So powerful. We may go a little bit over time here if you're okay with it, and I just think it requires a little bit more time because this is such a big topic. And I feel like we did go long, and a couple things happened for me here and just experiencing this. One, I felt like I should have just left the room. And the reason I should have left the room is because you four don't need me here, basically. And I was just thinking that because I felt like, oh yeah, we need this coalition with this female energy that has the ability to tap into all parts and to all expressions. And then when that coalition is kind of ready, ripe, like it's fertile ground, then I can come in and I can be a part of it. But I need to be invited in to some degree. And I share this because it's my belief that we are trending in our society towards a leadership, a governance that is more female in nature. Thus, more than ever, we need the female voices to help in this transition. And why is this important? Well, because if we don't have the female voices that can assist in this transition, we're going to continue to fall into the culture war of feminism, toxic masculinity, etc., etc., etc. And my opinion, for whatever it's worth, is that at this moment, more than ever, we need to develop a language. And when I say we, I mean the female side of us needs to develop a language that resonates, that fits in to the current or traditional, if you want to call it that, masculine approach to progression, evolution, developing a society, in order to help it transition, facilitate that transition. In other words, the frustration that maybe Sarah was expressing when she was talking about her relationship with Phil is that maybe what you're noticing, Sarah, is that you're seeing into the future. You're realizing, hey, a man, I need you to hear what I'm saying. Sharpen up. Don't get lost in this mix. Get on the pattern that you're supposed to be on, which is your nature. I understand that you're confused right now because there's a lot of emotions in the air. But be a man, basically. Do the thing that you are wired to do. And as you do that, feel all this shit that we are experiencing all the time.
Right.
But I think that the great part of having this conversation today is that I think within society in the past few years, we have really learned to realize that everybody does, every man and woman has a masculine and a feminine side.
100%.
And you were just, Carl, just Wednesday, you were talking about the fact that you're the one in your marriage that gets more emotional, right? And that Tanya is more like, when you were talking about the whole thing about, you know, financial literacy and wanting to learn.
The
And
stoic.
you're the one who would cry, you're the one who cries more. So the more that we have these conversations and everybody can figure out where their strengths lie and acknowledge where their weaknesses are, and then we all come together, whether it's, you know, working on the politics of the world with, you know, bringing the more matriarchal view and the nurturing, having these conversations is huge, and it's the biggest first step in, you know, making the changes that we all want to change, that we all want to see.
Mm-hmm. And somebody listening right now, I'll let Sarah speak in a second here. And somebody listening here, maybe like, what is the point of anything that you just said here, people? I feel like I listened for an hour and you guys just went in circles. But the truth is that it's not going in circles. It's the observation of all that is.
Exactly.
And that is both female and male, but the patience required to allow for that full observation, for an exploration like this, that is something that naturally, nature tends to lead that in a more female way. Mother Earth.
Nature nurturing.
Mm.
But I think that is our way of seeing nature and Mother Earth. I think that's a human thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We assign
that symbolism or that role. I think that's something that is within us, not really. I think the same thing. I'm saying this because I think it's a human projection of nature. Mm-hmm. Nature can be very cruel and very war-like also.
Yeah.
Very destructive.
Yeah.
There is that side too. Although we tend to see nature and like more like with the feminine side. That's true, but
mm-hmm.
because we tend to look at the peaceful things of nature, the beautiful things of nature.
But then maybe we can also appreciate that in nature and biology, a female species can mate with the male side of it and then kill it afterwards. Give me the seed. I'll carry it from here. Now, you die. In fact, I need your calories to carry the babies. Yeah. Sarah, were you going to say something?
Yeah. So equal or edit on the thing that I have a bit of problems with this, all these gender topics and other topics that are nowadays in our society in this time that we live in. I also struggle. I'm struggling with the man, as I think that men are also, whatever that means, but let's talk about men, how we think, like the male body and the male person. It's so difficult for men nowadays to feel good with how they are, because everything is criticized all the time, and there's this change of powers. So since I was born, my father, I've seen him struggling a lot with his not learned ability to express emotions and to show physical nurturing. He still but would always try to care of me by becoming practical and taking the hammer and putting the nails in the wood and showing me how he would take care of the family by going to work. And I, since I was a daughter, small, I was always wondering how can I bring you, how can I take you over the bridge so that you can relax finally. And I can see equally to how you explained that if you're not being nurtured by the mother as a baby for 2 years or however long, if you are not learning how to put in balance your psyche in connection with others, how not to get scared of your emotions, how even not having the period. So once a month we are struggling with a lot of emotions that are always going to be there, with a lot of eating disorders, with a lot of disorders that we are being told how to deal with. So I'm sure from my experience with many male friends is that they are also going through cycles. But so what's the matter in starting and trying to empower us as women and explaining how the world works and how we should fighting against men is the most stupid thing we can do, in my opinion. I think it's very important, and this is the strength that we should nurture, how to invite men and how to invite women, not to, this sounds a bit like a peace talk, but I don't mean, but how to learn from each other. This is how I grew up. Like, people would learn from each other instead of saying what is right and what is wrong, which I think now is happening so much. And so this is also why I can deal with men becoming extremely emotional, because I'm like, yes, keep going. But then of course they can get lost in it, but it's okay. I prefer that to happen, because I can be a teacher of that, and then they can teach me other things. And then things become nature, because nature is in balance. Even if it's burning, even if there's a hurricane, things are interacting. You don't see the water being like, I'm not going to touch the stone, or I'm not going to touch the tree because I'm special, I'm the earth. It doesn't make sense. So this is what I'm missing from women, to respect men and invite them, invitation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think that invitation happens by simply modeling. And modeling is simply doing and then sharing what you're doing and the reason for doing it. And the reason for doing it can be through needs and feelings. I need this. This is what I feel, and this is why I'm moving in this direction. You can choose to come along with me, or you can stay behind. And this is something that is super powerful, and I'm so excited that you're sharing this, because I genuinely want to be part of a tribe like that, led by women in that way. That's what I would feel so empowered being a part of, and being like, yes, I can fully put my life to rest in a creative space like that. That sounds to me exciting. It sounds like a new world that I would be willing to move towards. In addition to that, my more masculine side, okay, here's an example. a few years ago, a woman flew out to San Francisco to visit her family, and we met up because she was going to attend a big event that I was hosting in London, and this was an event that I was doing for the first time, so it was completely new. And we were having coffee, and she said, "How do you feel about next month's event?" I said, "I feel really scared, and I'm uncertain I'm able to do this thing, and I don't know how it's going to turn out." And she was going to attend this thing. She had paid a lot of money to come to this thing. And I was just sharing openly. And I could see her face kind of contorting into this, like, wait, what did I sign up for? I thought I was coming to this thing. And as I saw her face kind of contorting, I said, "But worry not. Because the moment you see me walk through that door, you will see a killer." Meaning, I know exactly what I'm doing. You will not see an ounce of hesitation. And that's one who is confident, courageous in their choice, and who, when the time comes, they will be a sharpshooter. They will do what they said they were going to do. And that is required and has to be a standard that needs to be articulated from our society. And this is where the courage of the female side has to come into play, where one, you in this case, all of you, has to say exactly what you want to see, what you need to see in order for us to move forward. If you are unable to express that, we will not know where to put our feet. We won't be able to take the step. You are the path.
This is so beautiful. I mean, really, this feels so good to hear this.
But that's what we're moving towards. And I've seen this in my mother. I've seen this in my sisters. I've seen this in my female friends. That there are times in their lives when they have to say, they have to speak the truth, and their conditioning holds them back. And one of the reasons I continue to show up at Coffee Club like this is because I believe, and you probably have noticed, that the majority of you showing up are women. I am kind of like the little dot in the yin yang, you know? You have the black side, the white side, and then you have the little dot. I'm just that little dot. But that little dot is saying, we need you to step up right now. We need you to step forward and say clearly, this is what we need. Now you do. And guess what we'll feel? When I say we, I mean the masculine side, which all of you also have inside of you. We will feel confident. We will feel aligned with our nature. And that's all we want.
Can I say something, Carl?
Please, please.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No, please, that's it.
Well, this is just coming up for me because like all of this makes me think of several courses that I did through an organization called PAX.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about them?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So I don't know where they are or what they're doing right now, but that was incredibly helpful for me just to understand a man's like perspective, and a lot of times how they operate, and how, and what women how women are operating as well, and how you could have like a really good conversation between the two, because the understanding between the two is really, really so much better. Mm-hmm. So and they have courses for both, and they have courses for just for women, lots of different things. But that is just what you're talking about right now is I think is really part of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Yeah, and I haven't taken any courses or been to any of their stuff, but I am vaguely familiar with it. At the end of the day, we simply need this conversation, and I think the next 10 years are going to require much more of this. And the peaceful side of things, like Sarah was kind of alluding to, the nurturing side, is the one that has enough space that when it's time to express the need, that need comes out in a way that is confident and carries a tone of peace and of strength rather than a tone of oppression and anger and frustration. And the reason that's important is because when a man, and when I say a man, I'm simply alluding to the masculine energy, the one that is more rigid, perceives that tone, their side of providing, making something safe, secure, securing the perimeters, completely crumbles. And when that crumbles for the man, whatever that is, the security, the structure, all meaning goes away. And when all meaning goes away, there's no footing. You're just slipping, sliding, and that is scary. So how do we create the space to arrive at a place that is secure enough in you, the creative, the creator, to express that which you need and feel with confidence, and the inner knowing that the male who is available to hear it will hear it and will be able to move towards it rather than against it or away from it. That's the work that we're doing. And that's the 10-year plan.
Oh.
May I add something to that is has been in my mind today?
Please.
I was having a lot of conversations with my body parts, and I was talking with myself exactly about that. So even when when training specifically, I can see that a lot, that there are all these emotions, ideas, knowledge, things that I'm seeing with my eyes, things that I'm seeing with my brain internally that are coming up. And if I don't have this voice, this, now what you said, let's say the female voice, creative voice, expanding, and at the same time allowing the strength to come through instead of being harsh and judgmental about myself, things start to work out by feeling and by using a plan, both of it. So even if it works with your body, and then coming back to the movement thing, while moving and while being in motion, it will also work in communication with others. And it's different levels. Again, it's like the transversal plane, the sagittal plane, the frontal plane. You have to learn to use the different planes internally and externally to make things connect in the dots, with male, with female bodies and minds, with animals or plants, I don't mind. And that's just nature, not to study that. This is the beautiful thing about being a human, that you can study that on different fields consciously. So how exciting is to have this plan for this frame of this three-dimensional, multi-dimensional frame of 10 years. It's extremely exciting. And no matter if I was 80 or 10, this is how I want to design my life. So just to remember that it's happening inside of us too.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Okay, so now just to wrap things up. We don't all have to do the same thing. meaning we all bring a slightly different skill set to the table, but that skill set is the anchor, is the pattern that we must continue to work on in order to create the grid, to create the collective net, the collective matrix. Thus, every single one of you has to take ownership of what you do. If you can do that, then I believe you are planting the seed that produces the creativity that is needed for your female side to express itself, and the extension of that being the masculine expression, and that masculine expression being that which allows everybody else to connect with it. It becomes the plug-in, the connector. Very cool. Anyways, thank you for that. Hopefully this gave you and whoever's listening some food for thought. And I'm so thankful you are willing to have a convoluted conversation like this, an abstract conversation like this, without the need of trying to steer it in a certain direction, and allowing me, who naturally wants to steer things in a certain direction, to participate, as it's very transformative to be a part of something like that. And I think important in the long run in ways that we may not be able to articulate just yet. So with that being said, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you on the flip side, okay?
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good evening and rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.